Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Hello.
Good morning. Good evening. Good day. Here we are. Goodness, yes. Goodness gracious me. Good Loch Ness.
Hey.
We know. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Benji and Nick Show. My name is Benji.
And my name isn't
It
Benji.
isn't. He's Nicholas Briggs, to be precise. Welcome to our audio living room.
Where we speak like this at the beginning and end of the podcast, but during the middle we forget all about it and start talking like this and getting very animated.
And sometimes behind the microphone like this.
Not often, but
He's
sometimes.
just crazy.
off
As
the
you may
wall.
know, we chat about kind of old cult telly stuff, TV, for those of you who don't know what telly means. And we've been talking about Catweasel and Doctor Who, Death to the Daleks and Thunderbirds and the Day of the Triffids last week.
The Triffids, yeah. We've done a few films as well. We've done two films, haven't we? The Dalek movies and
Oh, that was just those two, yeah.
just those two, yeah. You know, we do different stuff. We try and shake it about a bit, but
And do the hokey cokey.
the beauty about all of
That's what
this,
it's all about.
in out, shake it all about. The beauty of this is often
say
we don't really know what we're going to be doing next. So
No, we don't.
It's rather nice because we go in to talk about one thing and come out and think, right, we've got to do that one next. So it's always good fun.
And this time we randomly nominated The Prisoner, the 1967 fantastic series starring Patrick McGowan, a particular episode called The Chimes of Big Ben.
Yes. Well,
So
what better
we'll be
person for
discussing
me
that
to be?
later.
What better person to be discussing The Prisoner with than yourself, Nick? With you're majorly involved with The Prisoner and its reboot, so to speak, its revival.
Well, the audio drama version that I've written and directed for Big Finish, which you might like to go and look at bigfinish.com. It was a difficult sell. People thought, why remake The Prisoner? Why reimagine it? But I think that everyone who's heard it has kind of come on board because it's a lot to do with the original, but in a kind of, with a sort of twist. Still sort of set in the 60s. Sort of set in the 60s.
Yeah, sort of set in the 60s.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about? Have a look at that. Anyway, so we'll be talking about The Chimes of Big Ben. And I think it'll be a positive chat. But just, we want to tell you that we are sponsored by the Jerry Anderson store. And you can find it at shop.jerryanderson.co.uk, am I right?
You got it in one.
I've memorised it, finally. Yeah.
And actually, I've got a little bit of a little nugget from last week. I believe it was either last week or the week before, when it comes to talking about the Jerry Anderson store. Tom Saunders, great friend of ours, got in touch.
Does videos for Big Finish.
He does, very talented man. He got in touch with me to say, you were totally right about the mole toy in the 90s. I had the exact same one. It's die-cast metal and the drill was made from plastic. And he sent me a little picture of it there. So it did exist, apparently. So there we have it.
That's
So
good news.
well, that's worse. Better than I don't like it when things get erased from time, and you say they exist.
It's
and
terrible
you
when
find,
that happens.
that you find that they never do. So I always remember
I hate
there
it
was.
when things are erased from time.
Well, I always remember there was a show called when I was little called Bloody Towers, and it used to be on in the morning, and it was about
Bloody Towers.
Bloody Towers. It was on every morning. It was they were talking about ghost stories, and it was very good actually. With this sort of presenter going to locations and talking about their haunted history. And I've looked online, and there was absolutely no history of this program ever being made. And the reason, and people often say, "Oh, but surely you've just got the name wrong." But I'm certain I haven't, because when I was a kid, I thought, in my sort of childlike mind, I thought, how are they putting on a programme in the morning called Bloody Towers? It's swearing in the morning. So why are they doing that? And that's why I remember it so clearly. But yeah, that show doesn't exist, or certainly didn't exist, to the internet's knowledge. So yeah, crazy.
I think you dreamt it.
Maybe I did.
I looked up a really weird little series, didn't I? With a group called Freddie and the Dreamers, Freddie Garrity. We ought to talk about that at some point. Not this week. What was it called? I can't remember what it's called now.
You sent me it in a text. Let me have a look.
Yeah, Freddie and the Dreamers.
It was very
someone
good,
in the underworld or something, in the overworld. Oliver and the overworld, something like that.
I want to say Oliver and the overworld. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well done if you find that email, Benji. I did have a page up on my browser about it, but that was long, long ago. Anyway, we'll return to that oddity. I found that there are only a few tiny clips remaining. And Freddie Garrity, who was the lead singer of Freddie and the Dreamers, who had a hit in the 60s and several minor hits, and were part of the whole 60s music scene, was successful in America for a short while. He was there's a lovely interview with him on YouTube talking about it and how it was his favourite thing ever that he did. He's now sadly no longer with us, but anyway,
Oliver in the Overworld.
Oliver in the Overworld. It was a very surreal, pantomimic kind of thing. It was very interesting. It was performed sort of live in front of an audience of kids. So there's lots of screaming from kids and shots of reactions from them, but all sorts of weird songs. And anyway, that's for another time.
I can actually. There are some great things in the Jerry Anderson store here.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Let's talk about that.
It looks like they're new, or they're not quite released yet, but they're up for pre-order. And are they're long sleeve t-shirts, long and short sleeve t-shirts, almost cosplay like of Thunderbirds. And so you've got their blue, you've got the different Thunderbird strips along them, like in the costumes in the series. And it's also got these lovely sort of 3D effect things on the belt as well. It's absolutely zooming in on it is absolutely class. You can see all the leather work and everything. And they're up for pre-order at a very tasty price. All your favourite Thunderbirds as well. So what more could you want?
Wow, very nice.
Don't
forget.
I can read the blurb if you like, because that
do.
We are excited to bring you this royal blue cosplay long sleeve t-shirt featuring Scott's light blue sash and belt, both front and back, plus the iconic International Rescue logo and canister images on the front. Note, canisters are images, not actual canisters. Wear the t-shirt, be fab, and be part of the IR organisation too. Rock and roll.
Not actual canisters.
Yeah. Shame they weren't.
Canisters not included.
It'd be fun if they were, though. Just people walking around.
Actual canisters. There's something about that phrase that's really seductive. Actual canisters. There were actual canisters. Did you know that? Actual canisters.
Canister's a wonderful word, isn't it? Canister.
Yeah. Let's discuss it further.
Canister.
But
yeah, check out the Jerry Anderson store. There's loads of wonderful things on there for you to get your teeth into. All the Jerry Anderson sort of shows, everything you could possibly want, really, and so many t-shirts. It's amazing.
And as the Jerry Anderson store is sponsoring us, there's a special deal for you as a listener to the Benji and Nick show, which is if you buy anything at the Jerry Anderson store at shop.jerryanderson.co.uk, I'm so proud I remember it, I'm just going to keep saying it, you can enter a special code at the point of purchase, and the code is Poo Water. Poo Water. It's all one word, POOWATER. I would like to apologise for that, but anyway, put Poo Water in, you get 10% off your entire order, everything off the total, yeah? So how about that? Do it! Yes. Any particular Jerry Anderson memories today?
Well, I had a memory when I was in London on Monday, and I was at Victoria Station, and I saw somebody with the Jerry Anderson 50-year sash thing, little badge, not sash, a little badge.
Yeah.
They've rebadged it, you fool.
A pin, as the Americans would say.
So that was a pleasant.
Which to me just sounds like something you stick in someone.
That was
it's a pin.
But no, memories. I did have a wonderful little thing actually when my cousin's children were down, And they asked me what I did, and I told them various little projects I worked on, and I mentioned Captain Scarlet, and they said that he watched Captain Scarlet, the new one on the telly, and I said, well, you do know there was one before that, an original Captain Scarlet, and he said no. And so I showed him the title sequence of, the wonderful Mr. On going through the alleyway and all the the amazing gun sound. And he was just entranced by it. He absolutely loved it. And I thought, this is the power, ladies and gentlemen, of these productions, and also of puppet television, I think, as well.
Yeah, puppet television. I'm just going to go over and find my Stingray DVD. Hold on.
Oh, marvellous. This is a brief interlude here whilst Nick goes and gets his Stingray DVD. Has he found it? Yes, he has. He's coming back now. He's stung the ray.
This is an old one. This hasn't. Yeah, there's a new edition out now. I'm tripping over wires here. Oh, there we go.
He's back in his seat, and the headphones are on, and there he is.
I just wanted to amuse us with some Stingray episode titles, because they're absolute corkers. Time of Danger. Rescue from the Skies. The Cool Caveman. A Nut for Marineville. Trapped in the Depths. Eastern Eclipse. A Christmas to Remember.
Oh.
The Lighthouse Dwellers. Dweller, that's a really... He dwelt there. He is a dweller. Yes. And Aquanaut of the Year.
Oh, I like that. I seem to recall there was one
Pink
called...
Ice. The Master Plan. I'm just going to keep reading that. Star of the East. An Echo of Danger. Ooh. Invisible Enemy. Yeah, also a Doctor Who story. Deep Heat. You rub that in if you've got a little bit of ache in your bones. In Search of the Taj Manon. The Taj Manon? Titan Goes Pop. Oh my goodness, I want to watch that right now. Set Sail for Adventure. These are glorious titles. Okay, here's more. Secret of the Giant Oyster.
It's got to be a favourite. Has to be a favourite, that one.
Raptures of the Deep. I remember that one where Troy Tempest has a hallucination that Aquamarina can speak, because she can't speak, And actually, he sings the song Marina, Aquamarina, and it's Troy singing it with his little lip going. Stand by for action is actually the title of a story, which is what Commander Shaw says at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Command ashore. Did you see what they did there? The disappearing ships. The man from the Navy. Marineville traitor. Tom Thumb Tempest. I bet they get miniaturized in that one. The Ghost Ship. Countdown. The Ghost of the Sea. Emergency Marineville. Subterranean Sea. Loch Ness Monster. Do you remember that one? Loch Ness Monster.
Yes.
It's a sort of robotic Loch Ness one. The Invaders. Not to be confused with the American TV series of the same title. Stingray, one of them's called.
Oh, funny that.
Stingray. Da-la-da-da-da Stingray.
I hope the da-la-da-da-da is written in the title. I'd like that.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Da-la-da-da. Planet of Doom.
Is it Planet of Doom or Plant of Doom?
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's Plant of Doom.
Yeah, because that was the one I was waiting.
Just making stuff up now.
I was waiting for you to say Plant of Doom.
The Elderflower Cordial. Oh, sorry, I was just looking at a bottle then. Sea of Oil. Hostages of the Deep. My foot itches. Oh, sorry, that was just a thought that came into my head. Treasure Down Below. Sounds a bit rude.
Does a little bit, doesn't it?
This is my favourite title. I remember when it came up on the screen, because right at the beginning of this episode, this thing comes out of the water and fire like the top of a tank and fires. And I don't know, it blows up an oil rig or something, and it explodes, or a ship or something. And then the title comes up. The title is The Big Gun. They could only improve that title by adding the words "goes bang" on the end of it. The big gun goes bang. Big gun go bang. The Golden Sea.
Oh, very, very good there.
Do you want me to carry on?
You can carry on. I mean, you must be
I know,
near the
I think
end
I've
right
done
now.
them all. I think I've done, that was it, yeah. I'm back to where I was. So I think that's quite an interesting sport, that, reading out Jerry Anderson titles.
Well, they're all very good, aren't they? That's the
thing. They're so beautifully understated, aren't they?
I tell you what would be good. All you need to do is just shove a couple of great titles on a T-shirt. Jerry Anderson store, come on. Everybody wants a shirt that says...
listening, Jamie.
Yeah, seriously, everybody wants a shirt that says, I don't know, Secret of the Giant Oyster. Or
the Big Gun. Oh, that's possibly not so.
Or the Cool Caveman. Yes.
Yeah. Titan goes pop. I think I'd like that.
Titan goes pop.
Oh, Titan's gone pop.
Maybe some underpants that say set sail for adventure. You know, really. You know, it's just
yeah.
Stand by for action.
Stand by for action.
Oh, man. Great stuff. So there we have it. The Jerry Anderson store, ladies and gentlemen. Head over there, and if you're feeling fruity, why not get a Stingray DVD? I'm sure it's on the store.
Well, if it isn't, it should be. Has it been re-released on Blu-ray?
One would hope so. Let's have a look.
We've got a Jerry Anderson competition going at the moment. The subject line is Spectrum, I seem to remember. Is that right? Oh, is that the other one? Oh. No, it's not. It's angelic. No, what is the subject line for the latest competition? It is
Angel Delight. Angel Delight.
Angel Delight. That's right. And the question, you've got the question there.
I've got the question here. Yeah. So this is a competition here to win Captain Scarlet Blu-ray volumes 1 and 2. The question is: there's harmony, melody, symphony, and Destiny Angel. Which angel is missing from that list? So the closing date for that one is Friday, the 11th of May. Subject line, Angel Delight. And if you want to enter that one, you just send us an email to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
And don't forget to include your postal address so that we can... I mean, if you don't, we can easily email you and get it from you, as you'll hear, I had to do for the last competition. But it's our fault because we forget to tell you to include that. So we need to know where to send the prize should you be a lucky winner. Anyway, so that competition is running along nicely. Talking of podcast@nicholasbriggs.com, I think I said podcast. I don't know what that is. Podcast. I'm de-emphasising the R in podcast. Podcast.
Podcast.
Podcast. I'm starting to have a New Zealand accent. Podcast. Fish and chips.
Listen to the podcast.
I don't know what accent that was, mate. So you can email us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with anything you like, basically, telling us, suggesting to us what we should discuss in different upcoming podcasts. This one is from Sarah Sarlin, Sahlin. She says, "Dear Benji and Frankie." No, hang on. Those are completely different mice altogether.
Hey.
"Dear Benji and Nick, I just put my collection of plates up on the wall in my new apartment while listening to your Cat Weasel episode. And so I need to tell you..." Shalme, Dalme, Adonai.
Oh, Shalme, Dalme, Adonai. Oh, what was that one? Oh, God, reveal thy secrets.
Electricity. The chilling bone. And so I need to tell you that the overlap between nerds and little old ladies might be bigger than you think.
Very true. Yes, that's pretty much us in a nutshell, isn't it?
What was the little old ladies reference then?
Well, we like things, I suppose, that, I don't know. We're little old ladies, aren't we, really?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, thanks for a great podcast. Okay. Bizarrely, that email was sent to us twice, so I won't read it out twice. That would be just hilarious if I did that. Oh, no, it wouldn't.
Deja vu.
Now, last week's winner, Duncan Wilson, did write in and says, "Great podcast about Day of the Triffids. I've tried to watch at least one episode of each series mentioned. Still got to get the courage up to watch the changes." Anyway, then he gave us his address. He said he loves that I read out the Get Outlook for Android that my phone insists on posting in every email. No! Ha 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 ha. Anyway, Duncan, thanks for getting in touch and giving us your address. I've passed that on to the Jerry Anderson store to sort out sending the soundtrack CD of the new Captain Scarlet music, signed by Crispin Merrill, the composer. I don't know how soon they can send it to you. I don't know whether Crispin's done all the signing yet. Anyway, this is from Carl Morris, Morries. Dear Nick and Benji, I would like to recommend a film for you to discuss. The Amicus film, The House That Dripped Blood. The film stars, this is interesting, Jeffrey Belden, John Pertwee, Ingrid Pitt, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Joss Ackland and Denham Elliott. Would love to hear what you think of this film. Love the podcast, Carl Morris. Get Outlook for iOS 1. No. What do you think? We should do that one at some point.
We should definitely
I've
do
never
that
seen it. Have you seen it? I know.
I saw it
I feel like Mark
ages ago.
Gatiss will really have it in for me, having admitted I've never seen it, because I'm sure it's one of his favourite films.
I'm sure I have seen it because it's one of those legendary ones. But yeah, I think we should do it. That could be a real fun one.
Okay, log that for the future. Okay, now here, Shane Dumphy, who's written to us at the Big Finish podcast as well as the Benji and Nick show. Shane is a writer. I think I might have seen, I think he sent one of his books. A very good writer, and he writes a lovely email. It's a bit like doing an audiobook, reading out his email. So without further ado, it's the subject line is My Brother and Me and ITV Children's Programming. Dear Benji and Nick, sometimes the memories come thick and fast. I'm 8 years old and it's winter. In the more innocent and trusting days of the 1980s, it isn't unusual for small boys to walk 3/4 of a mile to school. And by the time I get home, my hands and feet are numb. I'm at my front door at 4 o'clock, and my brother, Carl, who is 2 years my junior, has already been home for half an hour. He goes to a school just up the road from our house, which hadn't been built when it was time for me to make the jump from the infant classes. My mother has been busy. There is hot cocoa and toast to warm us, and dinner will be along in an hour or so. The kitchen smells as it always does on these evenings of cooking and the freshly lit fire. My little brother and I take our food, cram onto the threadbare couch, and switch on the television to children's ITV, which has become our ritual. Some of the shows you've already discussed loom large in our viewing. Catweasel is a firm favourite, as is Children of the Stones. But there are a couple of others that go on to become mental touchstones for our childhood, and I would love to share these with you to see if they resonate as much in your lives. CITV always starts with a programme for much younger viewers. Yeah, I remember that actually. Sooty or Rainbow, which we good-naturedly tolerate. Probably because at 6 and 8 we haven't quite outgrown them yet, if we're really honest. But afterwards, there is always a short animated film, a cartoon, and this is where the fun stuff really begins. Our favourites from this time slot are Batfink, Your Bullets Cannot Harm Me, My Wings Are Like a Shield of Steel, Danger Mouse, Penfold, Shush, and best of all, The Moomins. Having been raised on the diet of Enid Blyton, my brother and I have no idea this strange, haunting show is based on the work of a celebrated Finnish author, or that there are all sorts of political and social subtexts in the stories. We are simply entranced by the beautiful, fuzzy felt stop motion, the swirling folk synth music by Steve Schill and Richard Miller, and the glorious narration by Richard Murdoch. It is vaguely hallucinogenic and at times slightly unsettling, but we are completely hooked. As an adult, I will read the books and be subsumed by their dreamlike images all over again, but that is in the dim future. The final programme of the CITV block each evening is always a drama, and as you've already discussed, ITV doesn't pull any punches with its content. We are scared witless by the haunting of Cassie Palmer. I don't know that one, actually. I've never heard of it.
No.
Have you heard of that one, Benji?
No.
And cheer along to the football-based hijinks of Murphy's Mob, which I do very much remember. But the series that leaves the deepest mark and frankly completely freaks us out is Chucky. The intensely eerie theme music starts with a shrill scream that still makes me jump, even after the 4th episode. The dialogue is complex and earthy. There are discussions set in a science class about single-sex reproduction which leave us very puzzled, and at one point the central character, a little boy who is being taken over by an alien intelligence, has a very convincing and painful-looking seizure. What makes the show really scary is that it is set in such a familiar, normal world. Matthew, the central character, has a Rubik's Cube he plays with constantly. In the 80s, we all have one. There is a sequence in which Chocky, the extraterrestrial entity, communicates through a home computer, a very real BBC Micro, just like the ones we have in school. And unlike in many kids' dramas of the time, Matthew's parents, played by the extremely familiar James Hazeldine and Carol Drinkwater. Oh. James Hazeldine, was in The Omega Factor, and Carol Drinkwater was in All Creatures Great and Small, take what is happening to their son very seriously indeed and seem truly frightened by it. Chocky, based on the novel by the remarkable John Wyndham, is probably the first psychological horror my brother and I have experienced, broadcast at 4:45 in the evening, ! And it leaves an indelible mark on us. So taken are we by the show, I go to the local library, sneak into the adult section and devour the book over a couple of afternoons that summer. There are a couple of follow-up serials which my brother loves but I'm not as keen on, but John Wyndham will remain an inspiration. Flash forward 35 years. The two little boys are children no more. They're still together, but it's not in that cosy kitchen. I sit in a hospital room and hold my brother's hand as he struggles for breath. He's fought cancer for more than 5 years, and we both know the battle is almost at its end. He drifts in and out of awareness, and even though I know that sometimes he can hear me, and sometimes he can't talk, I talk. I tell him all about those afternoons and the cocoa and how he used to hold my hand then, too, when he got frightened. But I didn't mind because I was a bit scared as well. He passes away at 3:30 in the morning on the 17th of April 2018. He is 43. For us, it was Chocky and the Moomins, but we loved Stingray, Thunderbirds, Catweasel, Doctor Who and all the rest of those wonderful shows too. Listening to both of you reminisce makes me smile because in the last couple of years when Carl couldn't get about much, that was what we used to do. We discussed, often quite passionately, the good and ill of all those things we so enjoyed. Keep doing what you do, gentlemen. It's great fun, but it's also important because memories are sometimes very important indeed. Best wishes, Shane Dunphy, also writing as S.A. Dunphy. God, Shane, you really got me there.
Yeah, did not expect that turn at the end, so it's just nice to know that you enjoy our wittering on about old things of old, and if it brings a smile to your face, that's the most important thing.
Thanks, Shane. A beautiful email. Right. Sorry, I'm such a wimp.
My eyes are watering. You're making me go now.
Oh, a beautiful memory. Thanks so much for sharing that. Right, now then, is it time for The Prisoner and the Chimes of Big Ben?
I think it is. When isn't it time for the Chimes of Big Ben, quite frankly?
Now, you watched this on the train, didn't you? You said to me going up to London.
Yeah, I did. I've seen it before, but I thought, when we discuss things, you have to refresh your memory, as I believe you did this morning as well, Nick.
Yes, I certainly did, yes.
But I absolutely, The Prisoner is fantastic. And a strange one, I find, because when I often mention it to people who I assume would have watched The Prisoner, they don't always remember it, or they might have a very vague memory of it. But for something as classy as The Prisoner, and I mean, when I was watching it, I thought, why hasn't this got the official stamp of the BFI? Because it's quality-wise, the quality of The Prisoner is unlike many shows that it feels like a movie. It really is. There's something very special about The Prisoner, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, this particular episode, what are your thoughts about that?
I love it. It's a great one because it's got lots of little... You don't quite know where it's going to go, if that makes sense, especially when you think, can we spoil it for people? Yeah,
I think you can.
Yeah,
I think we have to spoil it in order to discuss it.
So I suppose it's very true. If you've not seen it, well, go and give it a watch. You can actually download the whole set, I believe, or single episodes on iTunes. That's where I got my selection of Prisoner stuff. But yeah, it's got lots of twists and turns.
There's a brilliant new Blu-ray release of it as well from Network.
Well, if you've got the doubloons, go and grab that, because the quality of the it's shot on film, so it's going to look gorgeous. And bear in mind, I think I've got the HD ones on iTunes, and they look gorgeous. So if they look gorgeous, Blu-ray will look even more gorgeous. But yes, I love this episode because of the all the twists and turns, and especially, he's building a boat, and you think, you fool, man, you old fool, you're never going to make it away. and then lo and behold, he does, and this is great. But then obviously you're just waiting for the moment when you find he doesn't, and I love things with twists and turns.
Yeah, and I mean the thing, just in case, I mean, I suppose there may be some people listening who don't know what The Prisoner's about. It's about a man who resigns from a job as basically a spy, we assume, and then he wakes up. He gets gassed in his apartment in London, and he wakes up in this strange village. He doesn't know where it is, and no one has names. They all have numbers, and he's now number 6, and the person running the village is number 2. Number 6 wants to know who number 1 is. That's a mystery. And what they want to know is why he resigned, and he won't tell them. He wants to hold on to that piece of information. And the series is about them trying to break him, and about him trying to get away, and also find out who's running the village. And this is often shown as the second episode, and it is the first episode that I saw. So really? This was my introduction to The Prisoner. And the way they do it here, they have another prisoner come in for the first time, a woman who he eventually takes pity on. She tries to escape by swimming away from the village. And but of course it all turns out to be a trick. And the interesting thing for me about this episode is that the episode itself tries to trick you. Because there's a whole sequence when he and the woman are supposed to be being transported in a secret, in secret compartments in a crate from allegedly Poland all the way back to Britain, and he apparently ends up back in his, Secret Service office with his boss talking to him. And there are loads of shots and things to suggest that they are being transported that way, but all of it is a big fib. That is the program. They just put stock footage in to fool us. None of that happens. Yeah. They're just in a crate being rocked around. And, there's some lovely little 60s touches. When he realises he's not really back in London, because the time he had his watch set in Poland, and the time in London, of course, there's an hour's difference. So when he hears Big Ben chime, he realises that's not right, because it can't be 8 o'clock in London at the same time as it's 8 o'clock Polish time.
Yeah.
And so he immediately starts looking around for electrical leads and pulls a lead out, and the sound from the traffic outside the office suddenly stops. And he opens a cupboard, and there is a quarter-inch reel-to-reel playing the sound effects. Which apparently, if someone had put a quarter-inch reel-to-reel in a cupboard and played the sound effects of the outside traffic, to me, I would know it was coming from a tape recorder. It wouldn't sound like...
Yeah,
and the fact that they leave the tape recorder in the cupboard, you'd think they'd have the sense to pipe it in from some hidden speakers. But
or just shove it under some floorboards or something.
Yeah, something at least, But all that nonsense aside, what do you think about Patrick McGowan's performance?
He's superb. I mean, what isn't to love about it? Quite frankly, he commands the audience's attention from the word go. You're completely with him. You believe him, and you struggle with him as well, because he's a man. He's trying to make sense of what on earth is going on around him, but also he is damned because he knows that he knows what they want really, and he's damned if he's going to give them that. But you never quite know where he's going to go with it. Just like, when I loved that bit in it where he wins he has to enter this competition. It's like an art sort of talent sort of competition, isn't it? That he enters, and he wins it with his rather wonderful tree stump boat body. But there's a bit in it in particular, I completely forgot about this, is when he turns around, they give him his prize money, and he turns around and he says, well, I would like to buy the artwork of number 2. And number 2 is sort of the big baddie in each of the episodes, isn't it?
It isn't number 2's, it's some old lady.
An old lady who did the art of number 2.
Oh, I see what you mean. But because that's the other thing. In this art competition, everyone's submission is in some form a picture of number 2. There are chess pieces, and they're all number two's face, and all this kind of thing. And so when they see his, they said, the only thing we don't understand is where's number two in it, because there's no number two in his submission. Yes, go on. Sorry.
But it's those things like that.
When he uses that as a sail for his boats, that's why he buys it.
That's when you go, of course, that makes perfect sense. But the way he's in some things, I suppose you'd have a bit where he might, if it was Doctor Who, he'd turn and say, we could use that as a sail.
Yes.
But in this, he's completely you respect him for being an agent, actually, and being a man of authority and a man who knows what he's doing. And so I think with Patrick McGoohan, he is the perfect choice for the part, because you believe him, you're with him all the way, and when you watch him, you think, yeah, this is a man, he knows what he's doing. Well,
the interesting thing you mentioned there about, in Doctor Who, they would, give you more of a clue. Doctor Who is a much friendlier, cosier programme.
Absolutely.
And the thing about The Prisoner, it's very unfriendly, and it just, you're in the dark with it. And also, the important thing, I think, and the remarkable thing about Patrick McGoohan is that his performance is very unfriendly. He does nothing to make you like him, and yet you do.
You're with him, aren't you?
He's compulsive viewing. He's not charming. He's not nice. He hardly ever smiles. Usually when he smiles, he's pretending. He smiles a few times in this episode, but he's faking it for when he pretends to be enthusiastic, and when he pretends to be in love with the girl, and he's putting his hand over his mouth and saying, trying to sort out, because he thinks she knows where the village is located geographically, and all this. So all his happiness in The Prisoner is mostly fakery. So you never see him being genuinely nice. He's always angry and silent and, just...
analytical as well.
Yeah. And this, bizarrely, for his career, this is the series that really, really... I mean, he become very famous doing Danger Man, which some people regard as the prequel to this. That's a whole level of controversy we won't go into. But this is the series that people remember him for, but at the same time it sort of broke him in British popularity, because the ending was so amorphous and didn't answer any of the questions that people expected to be answered, that the British public got very, very angry with him. He says he was besieged by them and had to leave and go back to America. I don't know how true that was, and later attempts to get the truth out of Patrick McGoohan have proved unsuccessful. There's a beautiful documentary. Have you seen it? I think it's called In My Mind, In Your Mind. I can't remember what it's called. It's come out recently by a guy who tried to interview him in the 80s. And the documentary is all about him getting these interviews with Patrick McGoohan. And previously he couldn't release any of this because Patrick McGoohan had forbidden it to be released. But now he's dead. He's been able to do it.
Yeah.
I really advise you watch it. It's a crazy and interesting piece of work. Patrick McGoohan, they've used all the outtakes, so they're all the outtakes of him being really outrageous and difficult and strange. He did 2 interviews, and then he wanted them to not release the first interview, so you've got both interviews.
That's fab. That is really good.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting character and fantastic actor, and in my opinion, the perfect choice for this.
Yeah. And if you haven't ever watched The Prisoner, just do. If you're into this sort of stuff, you've missed out on something. It is pivotal in the development of television and narratives. It's an incredible piece of work. It's very stylish. It's got great music, got great locations. It's directed and shot with great panache. It's got all the things that a lot of 60s series of that ilk have. Lots of stock shots, lots of day for night shooting, lots of stuff shot on sound stages that's meant to be on location, all stuff like that.
But you see, a lot of the stuff in it is particularly actually the like the sets, the internal sets, because even though that they're clearly sets, like Number 6's apartment, and that it's obviously a set, but I like that because, and even the location stuff, even though that they're just sets and they're not actually on location, things like that, it all adds to this sort of idea, with the village, because everything about it is slightly not real. It's got the colours, the way that they've shot this, it's very saturated, I think, which is especially unheard of for things like television at the time, the 60s, the 70s, and into the 80s. Location things are often quite dreary. You have that stark contrast. I mean, for example, one of the ones I always go to kind of show this is in something like 40 Towers, for example. The inside of the hotel is completely different. When Basil goes outside, it's like you've lost all the colours. It's virtually it's completely different. But the prisoner actually doesn't seem to have that. It's all very almost Technicolor in its approach. It's very vivid, and I think again.
Well, I think it's shot on 35mm, whereas Basil Fawlty Towers location stuff was done on 16mm.
Yes,
and also the interiors on Fawlty Towers and series like that were all on video, whereas The Prisoner is all shot on 35mm film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got its level of class, level of class.
Yes, and consistency of image. There's a lot of stuff shot on the back lot as well, at Boreham Wood, I think it was. The stuff by the church or the town hall and all that, when they're having the contest with the art and everything, and you can see the buildings around don't really look like the buildings in the rest of the village. It's just some random stock village that was probably used for Dracula or something. Not Dracula, but sort of movies like that, really. Talking of locations, of course, now I have visited Portmeirion in Wales, where it was shot several times now with my connection with The Prisoner. I've been there once to visit for fun because my wife thought I ought to go there since I was writing The Prisoner, and twice for huge Prisoner events, once with the 6 of 1 people and once for a network video event. It's funny having been there and seeing, the whole fakery of it, because the whole thing is built as a sort of fake village anyway, as a holiday resort thing. And so the Green Dome, which always looks impressive on film, is really actually tiny in real life. It's quite a small building. And Number 6's house, you see him go in there and there are all these rooms inside, but it's now the shop. It's actually a shop that sells Prisoner stuff in Portmeirion now, and it's tiny, but even when they show it's tiny. You think, well, how are we supposed to believe that all those rooms are in there?
It's funny,
the whole place
isn't it?
is very little, with false perspective on all the buildings. The buildings look bigger from certain angles, and it's very the tower, the clock, the church tower, the bell tower that's featured in the first episode, it's actually built tapering slightly, so it looks like it's a straight tower that isn't tapering, but the tapering angle on it is made to make it look taller. The whole thing is done for, and there's some buildings built on the edge of a cliff that really look like they should fall. You don't quite know how they stay up there, but it's obviously well supported, and well, one hopes so. Anyway, but the thing I wanted to talk about is Leo McKern as number 2.
Possibly my favourite number 2, actually.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's so good. He has this level of utter menace and slight ego as well. He's so fun as well. Like I don't think there's been a bad number 2 in The Prisoner. They're all fantastic in different ways. But Leo just does something with it. He's just so, menacing is the word I keep.
And the mad laugh.
I love him. Love him to bits. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the way he sort of just screams at him, and I
love that bit.
You'll be back whimpering. And he just bursts out laughing, disproportionate laughter at the things that Number 6 says. He just makes some little wry comment, and Leo McKern instantly goes, it's terrifying.
He does that similar thing as well when Nadia is in the interrogation sort of torture room with the electrified floor.
When the floors,
and that wonderful moment where it all turns on its head, where he's in the driving seat, and he's there saying, all she has to do is time it right and she can get out. And it's all, and he's saying, she will tell us, you think it's all on his side and he's doing well. And then when she actually times it to escape when the current isn't, because it's on a sort of 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off sort of thing. When she does time it and she's not going to make it, suddenly he stops it, doesn't he? He screams, "Stop it! Stop the car!" And that is when
she
you
just
realise,
says, "Kill me, kill me, kill me." She decides she's going to die. Allegedly, this is of course all fakery.
But it's that moment
thing
of
is that
he can change in a second.
Yeah. And I love that. I love to see actors who can do those sort of handbrake turns in their performance. That sequence, by the way, that was hilarious, because when I was writing the adaptation, I remember trying to get Jamie Anderson, who was the script editor on it, to research something for me, how to make that work realistically. Because what she does, she counts the 3 and then she throws water. She throws water on the floor, and then after she counts the 3, because it's electrified, it goes. That is not scientifically true. Water, if a floor is electrified, water does not go and fizz. It's just rubbish. And so we were trying to work out a way of making it the real thing. And there was I don't know, I remember him saying, "Oh, well, you'd have to have a solution of potassium and blah, blah, blah." And it was just, and he said, "And even then it wouldn't do that." And I said, should we just breeze over it and do it the way they did it in the original? Because there is no way, to get it scientifically accurate that's dramatically interesting. And funnily enough, no one's written in about it at all.
But it's all a bit theatric anyway, so you could get away with it under that umbrella anyway, couldn't you? Really?
Yes, that's true. And talking of umbrellas, they have a lot of umbrellas in the village.
They do have an awful lot, yeah, and mini mokes as well. Lots of mini mokes
as they whiz past.
Oh, it's great though, isn't it? The Prisoner. It is one of those things, you feel like you've gone on a sort of short holiday. And I tell you one thing, actually.
Terrifying holiday.
One thing we haven't mentioned, which we really need to, is Rover. We need to discuss Rover.
The big bouncing
weather
ball. Balloon.
There was it was a woman, I went to the park the other day for a little walk, exploring my surroundings, don't you know. There was a woman and her kids playing with a massive sort of, looked like exactly like Rover. It was just like a round, probably like a yoga ball or something like that. But all I could think when I was looking at it was, oh my God, that's Rover. Terrifying. Still get those sort of...
Well, Big Finish has a Rover. You can buy them from you can order them online. And they sell these weather balloons to you. Yes. They're strangely there's something about them that's quite condom-like, which is a bit disturbing. But enough said about that. Yeah, so we've had various photo opportunities with the Rover during the recordings of the Big Finish Prisoner.
Is that Big Finish Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Also, we've had shots of it with headphones on, sitting at microphones and various witchy things like that. Oh, by the way, we should mention that Kevin Stoney, famous for his Doctor Who appearances, particularly Tobias Vaughan in The Invasion, he also makes an appearance at the end of this episode, playing the sort of head of MI6 or whatever, putting on a very ridiculous accent with a false moustache.
I can't. Tobias Vaughan. I just can't see him as anything else, unfortunately.
No.
As much as I want to, I can't.
This isn't such a good performance, actually, is it? He's obviously playing someone who he's decided is a complete arse. So it's kind of, I don't know.
It all feels very last minute as well.
There's Richard Wattis in it, the bald guy with the glasses.
Who does he play?
Fotheringay or something.
Is that the Colonel? Who's the Colonel?
That's Tobias Vaughan. Sorry,
the old the chap who sits playing chess.
Oh yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's brilliant. I love him. I think he's good fun.
No, but I wanted to make the point about Richard Wattis, who's a very, very famous actor and was in the Eric Sykes show for years and in loads of movies. And yet he's in this episode for about 2 minutes and says about 3 lines. And I think it's really odd to have such a famous, accomplished actor appearing in what is essentially a walk-on role. I'm not sure
anybody that was in there, because he was in The Longest Day, wasn't he? Anybody that was in The Longest Day deserves a lot longer.
Well, he was just a proper movie actor, and there he was, and he was in another episode of The Prisoner playing that character.
Perhaps there's a little friendship going on with somebody involved. Perhaps there's a bit of
Patrick McGoohan, maybe.
Maybe just
Patrick McGoohan did employ a lot of actors, who he liked. and was loyal to, you know. And
Well,
he
because
was the
Richard
boss of
Waters
this
was in
series.
Danger Man, wasn't he, as well?
Yes, he was. Yes.
So perhaps there's a bit of a...
Does he play Fotheringay in Danger Man as well?
Oh, I know he was in it, because I'm looking at his IMDb, but who he plays is a different matter. Let's find this out. Give me 2 seconds. Hardy, apparently.
Oh, so it's not the same character.
No, he plays a character called Hardy in that.
Kiss me,
and
Hardy.
Fotheringay in the Chimes of Big Ben. Yeah,
Is he not in any other Prisoner episodes?
No, apparently not. Just
That's
Chimes of Big Ben.
Totally bizarre. That's sort of like, well, I can't think of an analogy, but you just think of some really famous movie actor just turning up to say, I think he says 2 or 3 lines. It just seems odd.
It does seem very. It must.
And whereas Kevin Stoney gets the lion's share of the lines, and he wasn't such a well-known actor then.
It must be a friendship thing, or it must be, because it doesn't make any other sense, does it? Really?
Well, there you are. On that enigma, I suppose we bring our Chimes of Big Ben discussion to a close. I think it's a definite thumbs up, isn't it?
Of course, it's a thumbs up. It's a definite 10 exclamation marks out of 10 from me.
And me.
So yeah, if you want to get The Prisoner, obviously you can get it. The Blu-ray is out or coming out, I believe. It's out.
No,
to
it's out.
It's out. Well, in that case, then The Prisoner Blu-ray is out on Blu-ray. It's out on DVD. You can also find it online on iTunes. Absolutely get it. And if you like that, you might want to check out the Big Finish version as well. The Prisoner over at bigfinish.com. So yeah.
Should I throw it? I should throw in the trailer of the Big Finish Prisoner.
Yeah, do it.
Here we go.
I hope he doesn't break any speed limits and get himself into trouble. He's going to get himself killed one day, you know. Where am I?
In the village.
In the village.
Désirez-vous un taxi, monsieur?
Take me away from here.
Where to?
As far as you can go.
I heard this was your first day.
And my last.
Why'd you say that, number 6?
Don't call me that. It's just the number of a house I woke up in.
Now then, number 6. File open.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who you work for. And I don't care. Open that door or I'll break it down.
There's no need for all this nonsense. All we want to know is why you resigned.
Stop! Do not run! Halt!
Stop running, man! Stop running! You don't stand a chance!
We don't want any unhappiness in our beautiful village, and if number 6 behaved aggressively towards you...
What's your real name?
What's yours? You see, we're both scared to talk.
I love you.
This place is a madhouse. A bloody nightmare.
Yes, get out of here. Yes, we must, or they'll kill us. Worse.
Words?
Orange alert. Orange alert.
I met a man today, an extraordinary man.
Please state your code.
ZM73. It looks just the same.
The car? Well, good. I didn't know the previous owner. You. I mean, someone bought it for me.
Many happy returns.
What's your name?
What's yours?
Kate. Kate Butterworth.
How do I know I can trust you?
How do you know you can trust anyone?
I don't.
What have you told her?
None of your business.
I don't quite understand. You were in a village, you didn't know where it was, and you didn't want to be there. Don't worry. It'll all be over soon. What's your name?
No names. Just numbers. 6.
6.
Number 6.
Everybody wants to tell their story, don't they?
This is beginning to sound like an interrogation.
Danvers, is this your idea of a joke?
No, sir. Mark Stein just called. ZM73 is back and he wants to see you.
Good God.
If you had to escape from this village, was someone keeping you there by force?
Yes.
So, how did you get away?
I told you, it was empty.
You just woke up one morning and everyone had gone?
Yes.
Even the people trying to keep you there?
Everyone had gone. Turn it off! Whatever this is supposed to achieve, turn it off!
What is the village?
Don't you know?
Where is it?
I don't know. All I know is that I escaped from it.
How?
I'll admit it, I'm fascinated to know your story.
You want to turn my life into a book?
Would that be such a bad thing? Everyone has a story.
I don't tell stories.
Why not? Everyone tells stories.
Not me. I've got nothing to say.
So you have a secret?
It's all secret.
There is no village. It's a Soviet fiction. Your cover story.
He died in the service of his country. That's all they'd say.
I can assure you that none of us has heard of this village place.
Why should I believe you?
Why should we believe you?
Because you have some proof that I'm telling the truth.
Not much proof.
Precisely. We need more information from you, ZM73.
Information.
We want information. Information.
Did you tell them why you resigned?
No.
Why not?
Because it was none of their damned business, and it's none of yours either.
55 Delta Tango 6 to tower, now on course. Over.
I met a man today. An extraordinary man. Well, certainly a man with an air of mystery about him.
Yeah, 2 series of it.
2 series. What more do you want? Another series.
We should discuss what should we, I think we should do it, because Shane wins the Oscar. Shane Dunphy wins the Oscar for this podcast. Should we do Chocky?
We should do Chocky. Why not?
So yes, we'll definitely be doing Chocky, the original, the first series. That's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. 6 episodes of happiness. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I suppose we better get close to these microphones again.
Yeah, talk like this.
Because that's what we do. Always hit my... I hit my glasses again. It just happens every time.
Don't forget to email us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. And thanks again to Shane Dunphy for such a lovely email.
And to everybody else as well for sending in and emailing. Keep them coming. We do love an email. And we'll be seeing you next week. Be seeing you.
Bye.